reviews make it so that your product today can be improved. There's some huge value in constructive criticism.
Your business can be impacted pretty dramatically, pretty quick. Within the first 60 days, if somebody gives you a negative review, if it's not legitimate or doesn't actually address the concerns of the product per se. Well, we are going to chat about reviews today. Like if you are an Amazon seller and reviews are your problem, if you have any question about reviews, if you've been a reviewer, if you've been a seller who deals with the reviews, probably going to want to pay attention to this. And as always, like, share, comment, engage, send, messages to people who might need to hear this, or just leave us snide remarks. We don't care. It kicks over the algorithm and more people hear it. So you're just helping me out. Even if you don't like my shirt color or whatever, I don't care. Just say it. Just give me some comments. So Shane, we are talking about reviews. It's kind of your life these days, isn't it?
It is, man. I'll be honest. This is what we do. We started TraceFuse about 5 years ago. And the first 2 years of, I honestly, the funny part was the first 2 years, I was humbled very quickly. And we talk about customer service and removing reviews and stuff. First 2 years, we were just trying to figure it out. Like I thought it was going to take months. Like I was once a little bit of a cocky guy. I hold my beer, I'll figure this out. Give me about a week or two. 2 years into it, I was like, man, maybe I should, go work at a Starbucks or something, because maybe there's another calling somewhere, right? Like I was like, man, this was a lot more difficult than I thought it was. So
if I don't keep going, I'm going to be making about as much as a barista if I can't figure it out.
Yeah, which I could get free coffees, which I would say $4 a day. I'm not saying I did the math to figure it out, but it would be a savings. Yeah. And so, the way I looked at it was like, we finally cracked the code after about 2 years. And now last 3 years, we have, well over 500 clients, removed over 13,000, probably closer to 14,000 now, but reviews.
No, when you say that, let's back up real quick. I know you have a lot more to tell, but when people say remove reviews, it almost sounds like you're breaking the terms of service or doing something you shouldn't be doing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So what happens is, my opinion on negative reviews are this. So I think negative reviews are extremely important when you're building a product or a service, right? In this situation, more of a product-based stuff because it's on Amazon. But what we're looking at here is really reviews make it so that your product today can be improved. I do believe that. I think there's some huge value in constructive criticism. So
absolutely,
we're not here to remove a review that you just don't like, right? The product says, oh, you get 10 reviews that say the same thing. Guess what? Then there's maybe something to fix there, which is going to be valuable, because all the products that we launched 10 years ago are going to be very different than the products that we have today. If we've continued down that, there's probably iterated 5, 6, 7 times, right? That brings it to a product that, once again, you get all the input from everybody, build a product that's not bulletproof, but that's a lot better than the first product you built. So understand, as an owner, if you're launching something, take that in a good way, right? Constructive criticism is a good thing. I have no problem with that. I think it's very valuable in this whole process to build better things. What we're looking at are reviews that violate Amazon's guidelines or that are fraudulent. So we're looking at things that maybe where somebody used, a cuss word or mentioned a competitor or mentioned pricing or FBA related stuff that is not your product's problem. That can be Amazon shipped out, it was broken, it was late, it was used. Those are the types of things that we're focusing on. And then we really focus on the fraudulent side of things as well. Like, so a competitor has what we call a sock puppet account or a fake buyer's account, and they want to come in and attack you and, buy your products. So they're a verified buyer, give you a 1-star review. And guess what? They use that same account to buy their own products, give themselves 5-star reviews when the products are very similar. Then we would build like an escalation case with Amazon and say, hey, there's some fraud that's happening. So those are the two main things: violation against Amazon's guidelines and fraudulent stuff. Our goal is to even the playing field for sellers, because a lot of the times there's things that happen that are outside of, if Amazon ships it out, that's not the product's fault, right? A lot of people will mention that. I just had a client, well, now he's a client, he literally just signed up right before this podcast, but that, they're having a lot of hate speech because it's tape for women's features. And so they have a lot of hate speech because they're doing it for the LGBTQ community. I'm sorry, I probably messed up that acronym. But anyways, my point is, that people are writing hate speech there. That has nothing to do with the product. It has to do with, we have another client in the supplement space where she had a certain person that was endorsing her products. And I'm not going to say whether it's a Democrat or Republican, but they were, hey, this person did this. And guess what? All kinds of hate speech came their way because they don't like the person that's representing the product. So you cannot buy the product. Obviously, that's one thing, but it's another thing to buy the product and then write something that's very hateful that doesn't have to do with the product and what it does, but the people that are representing that product. And so that's what Amazon doesn't want. They're trying to look at saying, hey, we want a good review. We want a review that's going to be maybe constructive or maybe great or maybe not great. But at the end of the day, of like, hey, this is why we tried it. This is why it worked for me. This is why it didn't work. the goal of that is every review, the goal is for that person to read that and say, okay, that's something that resonates with me. Hey, I want to buy that. Or no, that doesn't resonate with me. That's not going to work for me. I'm not going to buy it. So that's really the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, reviews have such an impact, especially at the beginning stages of a business.
Oh,
And I think there's a lot of sellers out there who play an unethical game, who specifically look for those products that are going to market, maybe have smaller amounts of reviews. They see their start weight, date was in the last 30, 60 days, and they're like, hey, I can easily knock these guys off pretty fast. Your business can be impacted pretty dramatically, pretty quick. Within the first 60 days, if somebody gives you a negative review, if it's not legitimate or doesn't actually address the concerns of the product per se, and comes from a burner account that has no, it has an empty icon, and maybe 3 other reviews that are all negative.
yeah.
You can kind of spot these pretty quick, right?
Yeah, and that's what we look at. We really look for those types of anomalies, right? And we've been doing this long enough. We've filed so many cases and seen so many situations. Really, there's nothing that surprises me these days, which is, you get a little jaded in seeing stuff. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at is like things that are blatantly either against Amazon's guidelines, or you look at the account and say, hey, this doesn't really make sense, right? Like if people only write 1 stars and 5 stars and there's 30 reviews, I'm not saying that guarantees that's a fraudulent account, but that's an indicator, right? That tells us, hey, there's something funny going on here, right? And then people get incentivized to buy other products and give it either 5 star or 1 star. I mean, there's groups that I think Amazon has done, somewhat of a good job of knocking down some of those groups. But like anything, I grew up in the SEO space. So the minute something goes away, there's 1,000 other people that come up with a new way around that system. And so
Absolutely.
I think Amazon does what they can, but it's not, there's always going to be people that sneak through, right, the front line. And that's just
it has an imperfect process. I mean, I've got stories. I'm sure you do too, of different reasons this has occurred allegedly in the past with brands we've owned. We've watched it happen multiple times. We've had on the larger scale, I've had hundreds of negative reviews shows up in certain types of categories. They showed up within a short amount of time frame. And you're like, how is that even possible? Some of these larger sellers had pulled up some pretty big negative review networks, let's say, for lack of better terminology. And it can move pretty hard and fast through that process. So, I mean, what's Amazon doing to try to counter some of that these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon, it's hard to say, right? I mean, Amazon does say they stop millions of reviews that come through that violate their guidelines. It's difficult to know what that magnitude is, right? Because I don't know how many are actually coming through, right? And because we don't see them. I do believe that Amazon does what they can, but once again, as everything, like the analogy I use, and it was a terrible analogy, but it's a good one for the example, is drugs. Like the cartel will run whatever 50 cars a day, knowing that 30% of those cars will get caught, but the other ones will get through. So it's the same thing with this. I mean, it's people are going to attack your brand. They know historically Amazon hasn't done a phenomenal job once a review is up there of getting that removed. And so they understand that and they can play on that, right? Like you made a great example earlier when you have a launch. It's great. You launch this product, you put all this time and effort, a year of R&D and all this stuff. Awesome. You launch and then somebody gives you a 1 star. Like I've had people that have gotten 1 stars and they haven't even shipped anything out yet.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like I'm
highly in demand, highly targeted niches with unethical sellers,
supplements, beauty. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
These
it's like they have groups of people that are watching, saying, hey, somebody launches, even comes in my playground. I want you to kick them out of the sandbox.
Pretty much.
That's what happens. And so that's what we look for is, it's like, hey, we have a monitoring system now where it actually monitors their ASINs. And so if something like that happens, we can't guarantee to remove that review, but if it violates Amazon's guidelines, we will be filing on it. And our goal is to get that launch back to where it needs to be. And that was a big thing for us in the beginning. People would say, hey, this is awesome. But like, what happens if we launch and somebody comes after us and then what can you do to help us there? And there wasn't a lot we could do. Now we monitor them. So as we build this thing out, we're continuously trying to build out new features and stuff that sellers need. So once again, even the playing field, because this isn't stuff where you just have a bad product. If you got a bad product, you got a bad product. Like really take that and understand, what you need to do to improve that. We're looking for people that are attacked, things that are outside of what you do that you don't have any control over. And it's very frustrating. And it can, Amazon's not an easy place to sell. I mean, there's a lot of changes and it's huge, right? Amazon's big. So
monster. Yep.
Yeah. So you got to figure that, hey, there's going to be I tell sellers, if you're not used to taking a few punches to the face, if that really bothers you, then you shouldn't be a boxer, AKA you shouldn't be on Amazon, right? Like at the end of the day.
It's a battleground that, there's always been unethical sellers there. Let's make very clear. This isn't sort of a new battle. This isn't sort of a new thing that's occurring. This isn't some sort of like red flag moment kind of thing for anybody who's a seller listening to this. If you're getting, new to the process and listening to this, don't be afraid of this. Reviews are a part of the ecosystem of any business, any location, anywhere. Just understand the pros and cons of how to deal with them. So, there's pros here too. I think we're touching
Absolutely.
sides. Always want to keep this a balanced conversation, but in terms of the, terms of service of Amazon, where does your service and situation with review removal fall into that terms of service?
Yeah, I mean, we are 1,000% ethical, and we are in compliance with Amazon's guidelines. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we base everything we do off of their own guidelines. Like, so we're looking for people that cost mentioned competitors, pricing. That's Amazon's own rules. And so we're looking at that and saying, hey, if somebody used the F word in a review, clearly you're not supposed to use that in the review, no matter what the review says. It could be a thorough review, very thorough, very great. But if you drop the F word, you drop pricing, you drop those types of things, those are things that potentially can get removed. So we are compliant. I mean, when Amazon changes their guidelines, we automatically know because we have AI that we've been using for about 3 years, machine learning stuff that has made it so that we've got it down to an amazing science. And so we also, because of the amount of cases that we file, we also know if Amazon's switching gears, maybe switching departments. We can kind of see that because of the amount of information that we have, the amount of cases that we file with Amazon. Our goal was in the beginning to learn, what we need to be fully compliant with Amazon. So that means like if we're filing cases, we're not going to bombard Amazon and ask for an update every hour. We know that, hey, if you file with brand registry, we're going to wait 7 days, maybe 10 days, right? They either do something about it or we have to file another case or we ask for an update. So there's certain things that we've learned over the years that we've got it down to a great science now. And like I said, we're at 500 plus clients and 13,000 plus reviews. So we are very, very proud of that because we, once again, started from the ground up where most people thought that anything that regarding reviews was going to be black hat type stuff.
And they probably
played
played a lot on that negative aspect. And I'm sure there's an example you can give me of how that process might work negatively or, by brute force. What should people not be doing or considering, or what services they'd be careful of trying, or if just things they shouldn't do on their own?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I actually have a tool that they can use for free. We created a thing called Amazon Review Checker, and I'll give you guys that link. It's a free tool that really uses our AI, and what they can do is put in their ASIN, and what it'll do, it'll give them a report on the reviews that are against Amazon's guidelines, and they can file on their own. So my goal at the end of the day really is to help sellers. And what I mean by that is that we have this free tool that they can go and create those reports, and they can file if they want. We actually show them exactly how to do it. So we would love for sellers to have more success, even outside of TraceFuse. I know that kind of eats into my business, but at the end of the day, I just know how frustrating it is if you build a brand and you build it up and then things are happening that you can't control. That's very frustrating, and some people don't have the working capital for us to be able to go in and do that. And their margins might be a little thinner. So we're creating these tools and we want to constantly educate people, because if somebody can come back to me and say, hey, I didn't use your services, but what you guys did provide that was free, that made it so that I could feed my kids again or bring my business back to where it needs to be. Like, that really warms my heart. And then I'm not just saying that, that really makes me happy if somebody is able to get their business back on, because guess what? I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I know it's not easy, right? I know firsthand. Right. Yeah. You can tell I've been hit a few times in this. I'm looking at the gray beard. I'm bald up top, which we won't even get into that. I've only got like 9 hairs left, but
Amazon reviews did that to me.
Bro, you have no idea. I used to have a full head of hair. I used to braid my hair every morning, and now look at me. I just wear a hat.
Terrible. No more corn rolls for you.
No corn rolls. That was.
How long does it normally take a person to get through that process if they go out alone? If they go out on their own, like what can they expect process wise?
Yeah. So our process. I'll give you our timelines. When people ask me, hey, how quickly can you guys get reviews removed? And this is an absolutely terrible answer, but it is the reality of the situation. We tell people it can take 24 hours to 24 weeks, which is super unhelpful. That's like, hey, what do I need to do this? You need either $1 to $10 million. Okay, cool. That super helps me plan budget-wise.
Super helpful.
Yeah. So, I mean, really at the end of the day, what you want to do, I mean, I'll give you some constructive, some things that the audience can listen to and use. So one of the things I would recommend is using our free tool, because obviously you can get a report, awesome little report. It talks about the top violations and why they're in violation. And you can file that with Amazon. We also have a 20-page PDF that'll show them exactly how to file. So we can include all those in the show notes so you guys can try it on your own. What I would recommend is don't bombard Amazon, right? When you're filing these cases, you don't need to file cases that are heavily emotions. This is how I feed my family. Amazon, what are you doing? I hate you. you might have those feelings, but we gotta hold back a little bit there, soldier, right? We don't want to go out and say anything because Amazon, at the end of the day, unless you have a crazy unique product that nobody else sells, there's somebody that can replace you. So you got to really understand that, like, you're on Amazon's platform, right? Amazon's not on your platform. So when you're filing these things, you got to think about this: is how is somebody going to read this? There's certain templates and certain information you need to include, but you need to take the emotion out of it, right? Once you have heavy emotions and you're saying the customer service isn't looking at that and going, oh, I want to figure out how they're going to feed their children. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but right. So that's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about, okay, is this against Amazon's guidelines or is it not? And they're going to accept it or not accept it, or exactly. That's exactly it. So that's not going to persuade somebody to do something that's outside of what they would be doing anyways. So just bring the facts, right? Bring the information. That's what you want. It's like, if you want something, think about if you're going to a court case and you want to win, you're bringing as much information to back up your story. And it's the same thing with this. We're filing cases, right? This isn't just an email. You're filing a case. You're justifying why somebody came and attacked you or what happened. And what is that evidence behind that? If you go, hey, Amazon, look into this, get back to me, not going to happen. Right? It's just not, right? Amazon doesn't have the time. There's a million other things that they're dealing with. You need to bring all the evidence. What I always tell people is you bring the evidence to the detective and you say, hey, I know you usually don't, arrest people that are breaking into cars, but guy broke into my car 3 times. Here goes a picture of him. I even grabbed some prints. I followed him to his house. Here goes his address. And this is where his mom lives. And this is where he works. And here goes the video of him breaking into my car 7 different times. And the detective looks at it and says, hey, thank you so much. I just got to look into this a little bit. Maybe we'll go make an arrest. Once again, that's the analogy I think of, is like, we're providing Amazon with the information to be able to go make the right decision to either remove a review or not remove a review, right?
Yeah. Give them the case. Does that increase the removing of the negative reviews in terms of expediting it?
What do you mean when you file a great case? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How fast? What's the difference in?
Well, if you file a great case, I mean, okay, so it's hard.
24 minutes to, or 24 hours to 24 days or 24 months?
240 years. I mean, it's within your
might feel like that to you when things are tanking, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, if you're filing great, so this is the caveat. Just because you file great cases doesn't mean that Amazon's going to listen every time. So that's what I'm saying, is you're going to be one step closer. If you don't file a good case, that gives Amazon a reason not to accept your case. That's it, right? So your success rate, if you don't file a good case, is probably about 0, right? Where most people stand. If you file a good case, now you still have to find somebody at Amazon that is going to take it on to remove that review. Some people just close cases. We've seen that happen. And then we have to open another case. So it's really we have pillars that we talk about our success. One of them is perseverance. I mean, it just is at the end of the day. Always. So you just have to stay on top of that. I had a guy that I talked to again earlier today that said, hey, I've been doing this. He's been selling since 2004. He's been around forever. And he's like, I just don't have the energy anymore, the perseverance side of things. I just don't. I don't want to take that on every day. I've been doing this for 20 something years. And so he's like, I want to hand it off to you guys. And we appreciate that. We want you to not have to worry about the review thing, right? We have that monitoring. They only have to pay for reviews that get removed. I mean, we try to take out the headache of that, so that it's just going to be success driven and they don't have to worry about it. Because as a seller, what do you have to worry about? Everything, right? You talk about inventory and tariffs, and there's a million things you have to worry about. And reviews are the things that can crush you. That's the core of Amazon, is the review system. And so if that's not going well, your PPC is going to go up. I mean, everything else is based on the review and what that looks like. If you have terrible reviews, your terrible sales, your PPC cost, you might not even be able to do PPC at a certain point if you drop down, I think it's below a 4.0. So anyways, there's certain levels that if you get to, then companies just say, you know what, I'm just going to discontinue. And that sucks. If you built a great brand, hey, we can potentially get that back up and running, depending on what that looks like, obviously.
Yeah. What can a positive boost look like in terms of, percentage or rating? Is there specific categories people should be aware of when considering this?
I mean, really any category. I mean, we do all categories. Where we've seen the craziest success is supplements, just hands down. I mean, out of our 500 plus or 600 plus clients, 9 of our biggest clients are in the supplement space. I mean, they're spending a good amount of money with us just because of the amount of, if you have 2 creatines, what does it cost to make a creatine? If you have a manufacturer, it's whatever, a few bucks, right? You sell for 30, 35 bucks. People are going to use it on a monthly basis. The lifetime value of a customer can be really high. If you can retain them, it could be thousands of dollars. So what happens is these supplement companies will monitor your stuff. And if you building some kind of a creatine that gets in their lane, And right before Prime Day or Christmas or anything like that, they'll come and buy 10, 15-year products, send them to anybody in the world. Everybody, my grandma gets, 9 things of creatine. She doesn't work out too much anymore, but she's ready in case she does want to work
He's
out,
ready
obviously.
to go.
I mean,
Just in
super
case he
ready.
needs the breakout moment there. And
Yeah,
did you
I
say
mean,
Prime Day or Prime Day?
well, they said Prime Day, but I talk fast, so it could be Crime Day. I don't know.
I
It's gonna be
heard you say, like, did you say Crime Day?
just no. Prime Day with a P. Some
Prime
people
Day
feel
with
like
the,
it's Crime
not
Day.
with a
It could be
C.
Crime
Okay.
Day.
Well,
No,
it could be Crime Day for some people who don't get
it
this.
could be, yeah. Exactly. But that's what we look at is like
Yeah.
anything like that where somebody came in and bought your products and gave you a 1-star review. And we look at those buyers' accounts and they also gave their competitor a 5-star review. The products are very similar, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
and those are the types of situations that we look at. And it happens more often than not. Most categories, the biggest ones for us, supplement, beauty, and obviously pet. Those are going to be the ones that high profit margin, once again, lifetime value, they're buying them over and over and over. And I say it makes sense. It does not make sense, but from an ROI perspective, they go, hey, if I can come and buy this, knock you down the BSR, knock you down the star rating, then guess what?
It slows you down, if not stops you. Yeah, and puts you in a process of having to defend yourself. Is there like 2 or 3 significant things someone could look at their listing right now and go, okay, I see these things. Like I'm thinking of the ones where it's like 3, 4 words. It's like, this thing sucks, right? Are these, where should people kind of quickly gauge a look?
Yeah,
Can I make
that
effort?
is something we would file on. The reason why we would file on that, because Amazon wants a thorough review. Amazon wants you to leave a review that somebody can read and say, okay, now I can make a decision whether I should buy it or not buy it. This product sucks. That's not a constructive, that doesn't help anybody, right? Like, it's like, in that situation, we would look at the buyer's account once again and see if they write the exact same thing. This product sucks. This product sucks. This product sucks.
Well, you wonder how those get through in the first place, right? Some of these you're like, well, I wrote a really good review the other day and it got rejected. And I'm like, what?
You can't see it. Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously? And then it's like, you see some of these reviews out there, they're like, this thing sucks. And they're posted as a verified purchase. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. There's definitely,
it makes no sense whatsoever.
The system's not perfect by any means. I will definitely agree with you there.
Do you see anything changing in your space, or things you'd like to see change, or maybe things you're changing that are coming this year?
Yeah, I mean, really just, the monitoring. I mean, that's our big thing is looking at the monitoring and, making sure that, that the reviews are being protected, right? Or the ASINs are being protected. It was a big launch for us and very, very important, because once again, it'd be nice to be able to sleep at night and not be worried about something happening, because you get a little PTSD around these holiday seasons or Prime Day. During Prime Day, it's like it's nice to be able to know that that's being taken care of and that you don't have to worry about that. AI is interesting, obviously Rufus, and there's some interesting things on Amazon that I think could come to fruition, could be some interesting things, maybe even in the review space potentially. And I always have people ask me, oh, are you worried about this and that? I'm not. If it helps sellers, I'm all in. Like, I have there's nothing that can stop I mean, there are things that can stop my business, but there hasn't been. And if Amazon, they're very big, and be able to make those changes takes big moves for them. For me, I can look at things and understand things, and we can iterate and make changes a lot faster than anybody else, and especially in the space. And we were the first company to really kind of knock this out of the park and seen great results from it. So we've been very fortunate, but always, our heads always on swivel on how to improve things and make things better.
Where can they go again to get that free tool?
Yeah, so you can go. We'll give you guys a link too. So it's just TraceFuse.ai. That's TRACEFUSE.ai. And then it's a / and then Amazon-review-checker. Well, like I said, we'll give you guys you guys can see the link in the show notes as well.
Grab that for sure.
Take a look at that, put in an ASIN, and get a report. It usually takes, depending on how many reviews you have, usually takes a few hours, and then you verify your email address, and then you got a nice little report, and get over the PDF, and then you can start filing on your own.
Yep. Well, guys, if you're in the launch, growth, or scale phase, always be monitoring your reviews, using systems, making automations, and obviously, don't get in the minutia of trying to fight these battles yourselves, because you'll just lose track on all the major things you should be operating. Know when to source, right? Know when to outsource for things that are very critical to the impact of the business. Shane, you brought a good word, man. How long have you been in seller?
So how long I've been on the Amazon space? For just about 5 years.
Okay, about 5 years. What were you doing before that?
Digital marketing, man. I taught at UCLA. I taught the influencer marketing program at UCLA. So we created the program over there, Amanda and I. And I've just been in the digital space, websites, SEO before it was SEO. Like, I've been around for way too long, man. I'm way old. I went to school.
I don't know, dude. I'm tapping into the
1800s
right now. So,
oh man, it's
been a wild ride on the interwebs.
This is true. This is true. I just put on my seatbelt every morning and just put on my helmet. Just get
We live in the
wherever I-
country right now. My favorite joke now is I understand why roosters get up in the morning and just scream.
Just start the day with just.
That's all, they just get
letting
up.
it
First
out.
thing they do. Bye.
Do they ever question why you do that?
Yeah,
Or is it just the
sometimes.
roosters?
Yeah. No, we just look at each other and we go, I get it.
And put a shirt on next time you come out here.
Right.
I didn't say pants. That would be inappropriate.
No, dude, that's why I live in the country, man. That was part of my criteria. The country is I could do all that and no one knows.
Man,
That I could just be out and do whatever the heck I want to do.
yeah, it's gonna make it a lot out there. That's awesome.
Right, dude. Well, dude, I appreciate it. Guys, like, share, comment, go check that out. If you're a seller, if you're an aspiring seller, this is one of the things you need to make sure you understand when you get into the marketplace. Make it or break it on the reviews. Very important. One of the ways you can ensure that is to build a quality product. If the product doesn't break in the first 5 minutes, and you can obviously see the impact and value of that product to the consumer, obviously make a great product. Very, very important. But as we always say, sales fixes everything. So make sure you learn how to sell it first, so you have enough problems to deal with in all of that, and then deal with reviews because, well, that's just a part of the ecosystem of Amazon if you're on it, right? And there's difference in Shopify and TikTok and all the other review systems as well. And a lot of things we talked about today are going to be applicable really to the process and control of reviews, the value of them to your product and your business. But of course, if you're on an Amazon platform as with FBA and you're selling private label, you definitely want to check out what Shane's doing and make sure that you are keeping your reviews compliant and making sure that they are obviously benefiting you and not hurting your business at every step of the way. Shane, any other questions I didn't bring up or anything I didn't ask or something we didn't cover?
No, man, this was awesome. As usual, man, we had a good time.
Thanks, brother. Well, guys, like as I always say, like, share, comment, engage, help us beat big tech. Share this with somebody who needs to know about reviews and a process by which they might have an opportunity to remove some negative reviews, boost some sales, and obviously bring back the integrity of their product on Amazon. All right, guys, catch you on the next show.